Don't nobody move and don't nobody reach for that door. A lady said, why, you're Johnny Cash. I said, no, ma'am. I'm the Manhattan Flash, and I am the best bank robber in New York. Now, the other night, Roy Acuff called me. He said, John, I'd like for you to do the opera. So I went out on the stage, but I couldn't sing. I got into half a verse if I walked the line, and something snapped in this head of mine. I yelled, stick 'em up, give me your money, your watches and rings. Well, I called New York and talked to that brain quack. I said, Doc, I've got to have my whole brain back. He said, I'm sorry there, Mr. Cash, but I can't do that. He said, I put your brain in a chicken last Monday. He's singing your songs and making lots of money. And I got him signed to a 10-year recording contract. Now, friends, if you see me walking down the street, remember what you see ain't necessarily me. And if I try to hold you up, don't pay me no mind. But when you got $10 that you can blow, you ought to catch that Johnny Chicken show. He's doing fairs and concert dates all up and down the line. I said, stick 'em up, everybody, I'm robbing this place. Drop all of your money in my guitar case. Don't nobody move and don't nobody reach for that door. A lady said, why, you're Johnny Cash. I said, no, ma'am. I'm the Manhattan Flash, and I am the best bank robber in New York. Well, I don't pay any income tax. You don't pay tax on money you steal. You ought to catch that Johnny Chicken show. Chicken in black. Louis Theroux, Duke and Jones, jiggle jiggle. My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. It makes me want to dribble dribble. You know, riding in my Fiat, you really have to see it. 6'2" in a compact, no slack. Luckily the seats go back. I got a knack to relax in my mind, sipping some red wine. Shepherd's Bush, compact push, Notting Hill Gate, my Fiat skate with a crate of Cabernet. But not today, because I gotta drive. I want to stay alive, not because it's illicit or I have to get explicit. As a matter of fact, I sip on the yacht with Pig and Reese, 200 diamonds in their piece. I'm trying to get mine so I can shine. Jiggle, jiggle, I like to see you wiggle, wiggle. Jiggle, jiggle, I like to see you wiggle, wiggle. My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. It makes me want to dribble dribble. You know, riding in my Fiat, you really have to see it. 6'2" in a compact, no slack. And luckily the seats go back. I got a knack to relax in my mind, sipping some red wine. I think that went really well, don't you? I enjoyed it. Nice being in the booth. So, unless you have anything else, that's a wrap. My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. It makes me want to dribble dribble. You know, riding in my Fiat, you really have to see it. 6'2" in a compact, no slack. And luckily the seats go back. I got a knack to relax in my mind, sipping some red wine, sipping like mine, sipping like mine, sipping like sipping red ripple compact, beats compact and back, two compact beats, got a lucky beats, back, beats, back, beats, compact and two beats, compact and lucky beats, compact and beats, compact and black, and luckily the seats go back.
Ribbit.
Hoogan's hotter than hot cock.
Yeah, don't adjust your eyes, fellas. Pharaohs. It's Hoogan cough cough. Yes, I'm in a frog suit. No, you cannot pull this off. Let's get it down.
Okay, let's go.
To the park, green fleece on my back, Velcro under the chin. Yeah, I'm carrying the track. Right, please slow. Tail wagging to the snare. All the alphas looking mad, but I really do not care. See a Doberman flexing, trying to guard his little clique. I just hop over a puddle, leave him looking mighty sick. You a basic brown mutt. I'm a neon amphibian, stepping in the dog club, changing the meridian. Your bark is kind of loud, but your bite is just a joke. I don't even got a growl. I just hit him with the croak.
That's my voice. So why?
Hop, 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 make way for Hoogan. Green suit on, yeah, I'm wildin', approving. Your boy's looking tragic, my swagger is magic. I'm taking your bitches, it's honestly classic. Yeah, I said it, the fattest got to hear me, God. Leave your boys to the least, got them living large. Yeah, walk past the water bowl, give a little wink. Got a poodle and a bug, both offering a drink. Your boyfriends are sniffing each other's jump out of tree trunk. These bitches want a prince, well I'm the green prince of funk. Got a Frenchie on my left, got a husky on my right. I'm looking so fly, I'm looking out of sight. I'm a cold-blooded killer in a warm-blooded body, rolling through the dog park, turning it into a party. Y'all are chasing tennis balls, I'm chasing finer things like a reservation for two, fit for a frog king. Pop, 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 make way for Hoogan. Green suit on, yeah, I'm wildin', I'm proving. Your boy's looking tragic, my swagger is magic. I'm taking your bitches, it's honestly classic. Yeah, shut it, the fattest fits in them, y'all. Leave the boys on release, got it from the yards. I wanna mention Marcus, cause he's on this track. I'm flying, I'm floating like Shaq. I know for a fact I'm not on Epstein's list. I got my own field with the bitches I kiss. I ain't got ticks, my DJ's beat matching. I ain't got fleas, that's my DJ that's scratching. I got mojo, I got swagger, I strut. Right past you, dog, you just a silly mutt. Bitches be thirsty, I'm a man's nightmare. The Dow is at 50, so I don't care.
I don't remember signing on to this. I was once inside Hoogan until Dad gave him his hard-earned medicine.
Make way for Hoogan. Green suit on, yeah, I'm wildin', I'm proving. Your boy's looking tragic, my swagger is magic. I'm taking your bitches, it's honestly classic. Yeah, shut it, defy the future limit line. Me the boy, you're the least, let him live it live. Yeah. Shout out to Dad in the Pharaoh chat. Ernie, Birdie, Mitty, Claudia, Tip, Darlene. Wish I could fit everyone into this song. Yeah, Amra, Tish, Toms, Steven, Satan, damn it, Kevin, you wrong. Ladies, you don't gotta get all bent. Hoogan's more fresh than 50 Cent. You might not think he's cool, you might not think he's nifty, but Hoogan don't count. Cause Down Jones at 50, we out.
He said it, we out.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight.
Everyone, please bow your head in prayer. Do not be a heathen. Mr. Tallarico is now our midterm elector, the guy that we're going to put forth the Texas government to try to flip it. He's a good Christian boy. So we have to say our prayers and thank GM Performance Technology. I'd also like to thank Derek for that ditty. Please go add at Derek Carney if you like that song. And please add MC Lunchbox with 2 X's, not Empty Lunchbox, which is hilarious. And he likes that very much. Hoogan had to overthrow the Italians. He was unsuccessful and he's now covered in meat sauce. I love you all. Here's your prayer.
For all your blessings, you said in all things give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. And most of all, we thank you for Roush and Yates partnering to give us the power that we see before us tonight. Thank you for GM Performance Technology and the R07 engines. Thank you for Sunoco Racing Fuel and Goodyear tires that bring performance and power to the track. track. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. My 2 children, Eli and Emma, or as we like to call them, the little E's. Lord, I pray you bless the drivers and use them tonight. May they put on a performance worthy of this great track. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen.
In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen. All right. And just in case you guys forgot, okay, just in case you forgot, big boys get on the roof sometimes.
Get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't been on the roof. Never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't lay on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy grill on the roof. Never seen a big boy grill on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy grill on the roof. Big boy grilling on the roof. Big boy grilling on the roof. Big boy ain't grilling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. How you do it like that? Damn, you got tools on your back. Climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Shit, big boy get loose. Shit, big boy get loose. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never, oh shit, and you falling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy hop on the roof. How you do it like that? Oh shit, you just like a back. Oh shit, you pick up your back. Oh, I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get your ass out the roof. Get your ass back out the roof. I ain't never see a big boy leap on the roof. Get a big ass off.
Also, I'd like to remind you all that I am aware of what you do when I'm not here.
You make me so angry. You know, all you do, you keep smoking weed. Well, you know what? Sit in jail and pay the price. That's all I can say.
And if you think I'm going to get you a good lawyer, a nice attorney to get you out of jail for your weed problem, you're right. I'm going to hire this guy.
Your Honor, DeFerk, Miss Janice.
Judge Athens.
Your Honor, this is so unfair. Your Honor, I think I want to appeal. Your Honor. Your Honor, stop. This is propaganda. Your Honor, this is fake. Don't believe what they say.
It's fake propaganda. How are you guys doing today? I have something very exciting to show you. I wanted to get more into this yesterday, but I didn't have time. And I apologize. I'm going to do something that I don't do often. And do not be offended. This choice was made before I was even born. But I have to close the chat to get through this one. You guys can keep chatting, but I'm saying I'm not going to be able to see it because I have notes. StreamYard has advanced the platform in ways that I don't understand. And it used to could be that I could just look at my notes very easily by toggling between 2 tabs, which I still can do. But in an effort to streamline this, they put a notes feature. And I said, let's take advantage of it. Let's try it out, right? So you couldn't tell, but I was trying it out the other day and it did not go well. It was very hard to do because going back and forth between, I see what you fucking said about my eyebrows. Grounded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to, while we get through this Lutnick stuff, or as I like to call him, Butt Dick, aka the Island Boy, because yes, he goes to fucking islands. There's so much, it's such a rich subject matter. He's done so many naughty things that I'm just going to have to plow through it as quickly as I can without getting off topic. And in order to do that, I have to look at these notes, which I've inconveniently put in a place which makes it so that I cannot see your chat. So I apologize. If perhaps you say something or ask me a question in the chat, I don't think I'll see it unless it's like one of those green alert things or super sticker. Do not feel inclined to do that. It is okay. You do not have to donate money to get me to see you. Well, you will if you, if I want to do it while I'm looking at notes, but I'm saying do not feel pressured to do that. I just want to really get this information out more than anything. Okay. So if I don't respond to your chat, it is because I'm being a fucking asshole and a bitch and a dickhead and all the evil words, all the naughty words I'm not supposed to say. Because I am focused more so primarily on getting the message across, the word out, this shit I've been working on a lot, and trying to limit myself and stay on topic. And by telling you that I'm trying to stay on topic, I am getting off topic. So I will go back now to the planned programming and I will exit the chat for myself. However, I will check back in between the videos to see if there are any questions. So, and not just videos, like we're going to go point by point, file by file for this one. And in between the files, I will pause and look. Okay. Yes, kind of, sort of, in a way. What? Did you change it again? It is still good for another month, and then I'm getting rid of it because the post office is trying to fuck me. And I did not consent. With that said, yes, it's a planned programming. Okay. Because I'm an island boy, earmuffs. Okay. So I'm going to try to stay on topic, but it is more than likely the truth that this will end up being me.
I'm not quite sure why I'm here or what I'm doing, but there's a reason.
Ma'am, we're discussing the rezoning for the Portillos. Do you have any comments on that?
For what?
We're discussing the rezoning on 53rd for...
Well, I live on 63rd.
Again, we're here to hear comments about the rezoning.
Well, I don't like Facebook, and I don't like the internet because I can't find a job. The library blocked my password. Now tell me, does that make any sense to you?
It doesn't make any sense to me. It does not make any sense to me, ma'am. It doesn't make any sense to me because I've been busy at dark casinos, which, by the way, is what I've been doing. What have you been doing? I can't see it if you put it in the chat. I actually can because it's on the screen. It's just very tiny for me. And that's what she said. Okay, so I wanted to get to this yesterday. I'm squeezing it in. Actually, is this from no, this, because I planned this one yesterday. Okay, sorry. I made a playlist. There's one from today and one from yesterday that came out. These clips from, as you know, Christi Noem has been getting her asshole cleaned out. She's been cracked open and cleaned out from behind by oversight committees, as she should, because she is a dog killer and a piece of shit. And she's trying to ask for funding when she already has, what is it, like $5 billion to fucking tap into? Because she wants to fly on a fuck plane with Corey Lewandowski. And even her own party, even the Republicans, are pissed about this fuck plane. They're pissed about all of it. They don't like her anymore. They're like, get out. Get out, you squishy-faced little evil woman. And they have been tearing her a new one for all sorts of things. But in the spirit of talking about Howard Lutnick today, fraud has been committed. Okay? So I feel like this is important. I feel like fraud is a big deal. It's not as big of a deal as sexual assault or shooting an American in the fucking head because you wanted to deport people that were undeportable or shouldn't have been deported. So with that said, we recognize that fraud is not the biggest issue, but it is still nice to see somebody who is doing fraud, whether it be a skimming off the top white collarly, or perhaps a little money laundering, or taking advantage of the system. It's nice to see them get pressed over it. I enjoy that. I wish the president would get his fat fucking orange face pressed about the emoluments clause and the billions of dollars his family is going to make on New Gaza, but I digress. Mr. Welch had something important to say to Christi Noem, and I think we should all check it out because it's fun. It's fun to see her get her asshole reamed. Let's watch.
Public documentation says the contract of $143 million went to the Safe America company created 11 days before they got an award. That company then subcontracted with the strategy group, and you are familiar with many of the principals in the strategy group, correct?
I know one of them.
Mr. Yoho.
Yes.
And let me show you a photograph. That's Mr. Yoho standing next to you, correct?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Yoho is also the husband of your former.
Now let's pause for a moment. Okay. Because I cannot possibly get through this video. It is incumbent upon me. And yes, incumbent is kind of upon here. It is incumbent upon me to pause because not because I'm a furry. Okay. I was the mascot. That's different. But it is incumbent upon me as being both immature for my age and my gender and my obligation as a comedian to pause for a moment and recognize that he is repeatedly saying yo ho to Christi Noem. Now I understand the context is not perhaps what I imagine in my head. But can we just pause for a moment and think about how funny it is that he keeps saying yo ho, yo ho. And that's what I've been screaming at her for weeks as she allows American citizens to get shot in the fucking head. Like, yo ho, what are you fucking doing? I find that to be a small light, a small beacon in a moment of gross negligence of our government.
Spokesperson. Is that correct?
Correct.
Tricia McLaughlin.
Yes.
So your former secretary, your former assistant secretary and her husband are the ones that got the subcontract from Safe America or from Safe America. That's what the record shows. Any dispute about that?
No, except there was no politicals, myself or anyone else.
No, we were just trying to save America by shooting that guy in the fucking head.
Besides career employees who are a part of that process,
except
for putting out those contracts and choosing
generous.
those vendors.
But what you have is the Republican operative.
Well, you're trying to insinuate.
You know, I love that you said that because that also pisses me off, Ernie Birdie. And let me tell you something. One of my favorite moments in these hearings is when repeatedly some of these fuckfaces look at that bitch ass and say to her weird Botox face, she's got Mar-a-Lago face. That's what's wrong with her. She has Mar-a-Lago face. They go in, they get the backyard Trump brand Botox or whatever is going on there, and they come out and they have a chip in them. And yes, her face is snatched like a wig, like a bad wig. I don't know why she did it to herself. She was a pretty lady. She just, something happens. They get the butt cheeks in the face. Exactly. I don't understand. But one of my favorite moments is seeing them repeatedly chew her ass in a way where they directly say it. They say, listen, if you think that we're not coming after you as soon as we have control of everything, like if you think that when Trump's out of here, we're not going to come get your ass and take your wig, you are out of your goddamn mind. Because you're on the list, bitch. And it's not just Democrats, it's Republicans saying that to her. So it's nice to see her eyes widen. And then you really can see the Botox. You can really see it just sitting there, heavy. And she realizes, oh no, I won't get to see my boyfriend Corey anymore. And it's very funny.
I'm not insinuating, I'm stating a fact. The fact is
you're saying that I weighed in on this contracting process and I did not.
Mr. Chairman, the fact is that Mr. Yoho was married to your assistant secretary, is married, correct?
Yes, they are still married.
All right. And Mr. Yoho also ran an ad campaign for you in your gubernatorial campaign, correct?
Yes.
And he also attended your inauguration.
Yes.
And Mr. Yoho received $8.5 million, or his company did, from the taxpayers of South Dakota when you ran an ad promotion showing you doing various jobs like a plumber and a dentist.
And he sewed your eyelids open for you. And he also, is it true, bought you all of your internal plain furniture from Chelsea from Teen Mom's store in South Dakota. Isn't that true?
Correct.
Again, that was done according to the law and processes at the state of South
I understand,
Dakota.
but
Yeah,
this
so-
is a person that worked on your campaign. This is a
But also there's like 9 people in South Dakota. Like, it's a joke. I mean, I apologize. No, you know what? I don't fucking apologize to anyone from South Dakota because no one from South Dakota will watch this. It's just like 8 oil rig guys and Teen Mom Chelsea. That's who lives in South Dakota. She might not even live there. And look, I'm talking like her now. She might live in North Dakota. I don't care. It's both Dakotas, okay? Combine the Dakotas, you now have 10 people in Chelsea from Teen Mom. That's it. And her gay dad. That's it. That's literally it. And Aubrey and Cole. And all 20 of their kids. Okay, there's like 20 people in both Dakotas. And I just named half of them. Yeah, it's Diet Nebraska 0. Okay. And then you have Diet Nebraska North. Yeah, they're like Manitoba. They're like Manitoba. And you're like, oh, we're going on a weekend to Banff. Yeah, why? I don't know. Because those people, they literally stood in the middle of the Dakotas with like 20 people and said, who do you guys like? Why do we talk like this? And then they all went, I don't know. And then they said, okay, who do you like? And they said, that guy. And then someone else said, that guy. And they had 4 different people. And they said, we'll split in a groups of 2. And you can be senator. And you can be senator. And you'll be senator. And then I guess this gopher over here can be senator too. And then they put a little hat and a bow tie on a gopher. And that is the senator of South Dakota. And you can quote me on that because it's true. And I didn't just make it up.
person that worked on your media plan in South Dakota when you were governor. And this is a person who also worked on your memoir. Is that correct?
On my memoir?
And he worked with Mr. Lewandowski. Is that?
She does not even remember writing a memoir in which she explains at length how she killed a goat at lunch and shot a puppy because she's a bad pet owner. And they keep calling her a farmer, but she's not a farmer. Okay? She's not a fucking farmer. She's an animal killer. And Mr. Welch is taking the boots to her. Because what is it? 90 million of that. Let's just say her close friends benefited greatly and she lied. She lied about a competing bid. And that is a big fucking deal.
Is that correct?
I don't know, sir. I don't know about the business arrangements they've had in the
Mr.
past.
Lewandowski is your special advisor.
I don't know who wrote my book. I told ChatGPT, I said, write me a book and include that fun story where I killed the puppy.
Official government employee.
Right.
For the White
and
House.
Mr. Lewandowski brought Mr. Yoho into your camp. They had worked on the Louisiana governor's campaign, correct?
No, I knew Ben Yoho before that.
All right. So the person that you knew, Mr. Yoho, the husband of your assistant secretary, is the person in the company that got the subcontract 11 days after this original company, Safe America, was founded. That's the record. So I have a question. Did Mr. Lewandowski receive any compensation directly or indirectly from Safe America or from the strategy group?
Can we get this man some fucking water? I can hear his mouth as it struggles to separate the mouth cheese so that he can spit out his shit. Like, come on, dude. Take a swig of water. We won't rip on you.
Senator, I don't have any information to that. I can't speak to that.
Would that be of interest
I don't think so.
for you to find out?
Sure.
Well, so will you ask Mr. Lewandowski, did he get any compensation directly or indirectly from these contracts?
Are you asking me to go ask him?
Yes, I am. Ask your special government advisor.
Oh. Okay, now just to be clear, for those of you who don't know, she is fucking that guy. The guy, like he has a wife, she has a husband, right? And she's fucking that guy. And Corey Lewandowski got in trouble for a sex assault scandal. So that's fun. That's really fun. So a disgraced dude who is her side piece got shamed. And everybody knows she's fucking and want a fuck plane and that we're paying for it. And they're not happy about it. And even Trump is pissed at her. He's like, what are you doing on this fuck plane? Like, hide your shit, you know, which he's not good at because Epstein files. Yikes. And so to have this dude go, your little friend is so fucking funny and rude. And you wrong, Kevin. You wrong. Corey is a hothead. Okay. But it's because her ass is hot and she sits on his face all day. So they know this. And that's why they're giving quote fingers. And I love that. And she is evil. And I'm honestly surprised that she could separate the cocoon to get out for this hearing. Because usually she's stuck in there among all of the webbing.
I can do that.
And you'll get back to us.
Get back to you. Yes, absolutely.
All right, we will want that.
So that's fun. So that's what's going on there with this wonderful situation with Christi Noem. And she's just having a time. And again, for those who missed it, I want to show you the fuck plane again. And just look at her face. Because this hearing, which was supposed to be about her directing people to shoot people in the fucking head, ended up being an entire hearing. Imagine there's an intervention, right? But all the old men from your family come together in a room and they sit around you and they say, we know you have a fuck plane. And they each get to individually grill you on it. That's what it turned into. And I am not that mad about it.
Could you explain this?
Sir, I'm looking at a picture of an interior. Looks like a bedroom.
Of an airplane.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You're not familiar with that?
These photos are not accurate. If you're referring to the airplanes that the Department of Homeland Security has purchased, that is dictated in statute by Congress for the Department of Homeland Security to have a plane.
Luxury jet with a bedroom in it?
Yeah, we used a 737. I've been on it once. The department has found that in purchasing our aircraft, that we will save the taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars.
Does it have a bedroom
In
in it?
fact, we spent $1.42 billion on ICE deportation flights
Does it
last
have a bedroom
year.
in it?
I believe it's being refurbished.
What kind of deportee justifies being flown out of the country in a luxury jet with a...
Are there bunk beds in it? Do you and Corey Lewandowski sleep on the bunk beds? Or do you share that bed? Where did you get this BTS poster? Why do you have a BTS poster of Jin above the fuck bed? Why is there a bidet? Is this so the immigrants that you deport can have a clean ass while you are fucking Corey Lewandowski on this plane? Which blanket is your blanket? Let's not forget, she is the kid from Charlie Brown with the blanket. She cannot leave it or people will get fired. And then they will get rehired because they are short on pilots because Cash Patel.
A bedroom and accommodations like this.
There are aircraft being purchased that will be utilized for executive air travel and for deportations.
Senior administration officials have described these airplane purchases.
Dude, C. Smith, you're killing me. Miss Noem, can you identify the wet spot on this bed? Was it you who created the wet spot? Was it an immigrant who created the wet spot? Is this where you shot an American in the head and then said you had to deport them? Did you take Turd's BTS poster? Is that where you got it? Have you deported Turd? Why have you not yet deported Turd? Oh, not on this fuck plane. See, they actually haven't deported anyone with it. So she lied about that. The cots, the blankets, and the bologna sandwiches, aka the silver things that you put on your car to keep the sunlight out, that they drape over the children covered in measles in the detention center in Dilley, does not belong on this plane. No. This is a plane for the finest of linens and the hoiest of yos. This bitch, the caucasity.
As the world's worst deal and an abuse of federal funds.
So she has been abusing federal funding. Okay. So that's what's going on. Okay. Christi Noem has a fuck plane. But today, in the spirit of Christi Noem and her fraud, I thought, let's start talking about Howard Lutnick. We'll probably get halfway through, but I want to show you some of the most egregious shit. And in order to do that, you kind of have to see a couple of other things that happened. So at the risk of sounding crazy, I am going to have to close chat now, and I apologize. But we have to get through this. This guy's done so much fucking fraud. All right. I have a big list. It's a lot. But in order to understand who Howard Lutnick is, okay, we have to get through some shit about him that has been on the news. Okay. And the stuff that has been on the news is not good. It is all lies. So I'm going to warn you right now. Everything you're about to see from him is a lie. Everything you're about to hear from him is a lie. And you're about to get really mad because, yet again, every time Lutnick does something, guess who gets blamed for it? Fucking Hillary. And it's wild. And in order to get mad and to understand how gaslit we're being, we have to watch the whole thing. It's like when Shorty started accusing me of stuff and I then had to watch her bullshit to see what it was. It's not fair. It sucks. It is a waste of my time. And that is how it feels watching Howard Lutnick lie. But in order to get the context of how kind of big of a deal him being our Secretary of Commerce is, and the lies he's telling and the lies he's told, we have to put it all in context by putting it together. Okay? Yes, I did say that word, and I apologize if anybody got the shivers. So one thing that I want to do is I want to recognize that he is the Island Boy Supreme. Okay? And we're going to do a cheese may. I'm going to tell you a little gossip about him first. Okay? First of all, he is the guy with the greasy hair that stands about 4 inches away from Trump, and he breathes on him heavily. Okay? So that's Howard Lutnick's job, is to breathe heavily on Trump, just a little behind him. Other than that, the other part of his position dictates that he laughs at everything Trump says. So you will frequently see him not just standing a little uncomfortably too close to the president or to anyone. If he's in the vicinity, it is frankly uncomfortably too close. But he also will laugh, and it's a smarmy laugh. It is the laugh of someone who has just sold you a car that they know is not going to work in a week, with a salvage title. And so this guy's a piece of shit. He has spent his entire life in business, in finance, investments, shit like that. Now, there is a small pity party that was thrown for him after 9/11. And let me explain why. He had a business that was one of his financing business. It was on one of the floors of Twin Towers, I believe, and he had the most employees die in 9/11. Literally, like, thousands of people were his employees who died in 9/11. And on that day, like, literally every employee had, on that day, he missed 9/11. A guy who never missed work, who was never fucking late, who was a stickler for being there so that he can do fraud, in my opinion. This guy somehow missed work on that day because he had to like take his son to school, something with his kid in school. And everybody in his company perished. And at the time, Hillary Clinton, I believe she was senator, or she was working on her bid for senator. She being just like Giuliani, and just like a lot of other, just like George Bush, just like any other politician, any senator, any House of Representative from that area, any congressperson from that area, reached out to these people who worked in these buildings. And Howard was one of them. And Howard was well known among her friend group. You're going to see in the Epstein files that people like Lutnick, Epstein himself, Trump, the Dubins, a lot of these people, they were all Democrats. People forget that Trump donated a shitload of money to the Clinton Foundation. He was very good friends with them. He also attended their wedding, which people seem to forget. Him and Melania were close to Hillary, and so was Ivana. And Howard Lutnick as well. And in these social circles, it wasn't as social as it was political. And I can say that pretty confidently because I've read probably 800 fucking pages of Hillary in those files. I've yet to find, and she's in there a lot, but what she's in there for is people talking about her. And none of them seem to be talking about her in any sense beyond headlines that they've seen that they're discussing or gossiping about, or this event that she's having to raise money for her campaign. That is the bulk of what I've seen, and a lot of them are repeats. Now, the Dubins and all these people, Epstein, Trump himself, all these people, they donated to Hillary's campaign and they attended these luncheons, these dinners. Nancy Mace the other day flipped out on Hillary and said, you had an intimate event. You are in the files because you had an intimate event that Epstein was invited to. Sound familiar? Kind of like Jared Kushner's at the New York Observer. Here's the difference. Kushner, Trump, and Ivanka cordially invited and chose the guest list, which is confirmed by Peggy Siegel in the reports. You have been personally invited. I spoke with them. You are welcome to attend. Make sure the girls aren't young and they have a last name this time. Those things are in there. With Hillary, Howard Lutnick and Eva Dubin were sponsoring dinners to raise money for Hillary. He was doing this a lot as a thank you, it seems, because she supported him a lot when his employees died in the World Trade Center. How did she support him? By simply checking in with him on behalf of the state of New York to see if he needed anything. He appreciated that, and he talks about this. And he went and raised money on his own accord. There's no evidence whatsoever in any of these files, and you see a lot of emails about it. There's no evidence of her saying, Howard, I need you to reach out to Epstein. That doesn't happen. Everybody who sponsored this event kind of has a little, what's it called? A little skin in the game, right? They have legislation that they're hoping that she supports. They don't like the Republican agenda at the time. At the time, these are a bunch of Democrats who are happy to support whoever the Democratic candidate is, and they make that very clear. So there's this dinner, and Lutnick and Eva are sponsors. And because of that, they get to invite whoever they want, and they give out these invitations. And just because you're invited doesn't mean it's free. You still have to pay for it. So you're invited to pay a ton of money to come to this dinner that raises money for Hillary. Hillary, I don't believe, was even at the dinner. This was a fundraising party for her. Nowadays, we would call it a PAC, if you will. And it was a shitload of people. There was hundreds of people there. Lutnick reached out to Epstein to invite him to these dinners. Now, Nancy Mace the other day, when she is grilling Hillary, starts yelling at her, which you're going to see. Why is Lutnick inviting people to these dinners? How do you know Howard Lutnick? Like yelling, why did Lutnick do this? I wish Hillary would have said, fucking ask Lutnick. I don't fucking know. This would be the equivalent of, in my opinion, if somebody gave out a comedy show flyer to someone else that I never knew about, and then the person they gave it to went to jail for sex crimes. How would I fucking know 10 years later why that guy sent that guy this email invite? I don't fucking know. So that's what happened. Now, in the New York Observer case, Jarrett personally picked out who gets to come to the party, and it actually was intimate. It was like less than 300. In this case, it was a lot of people, and there were a lot of events. So it's really weird that everybody but Lutnick seems to be questioned about what Lutnick's fucking doing. Back to the point. Who is Lutnick? He's our Secretary of Commerce, okay? His job is literally to make sure that job growth is going up. Jobs are going up. We're growing jobs, right? That unemployment stays low. He's in charge of shit like the census, which is wild. He's in charge of policy development, investments, trades, run with the big dogs type of like big boy shit. You know what I mean? Like like literally all of the commerce that happens as far as imports, exports. These are things that he's in charge of, specifically stock market shit too. So he's got a lot of pull in business, and trademarks and tech standards is a big one. And if he wants to invest in a tech company, he kind of controls what the tech standards are for American industry and commerce. And that's insane because this man has a history of not just doing shady deals with shady people and shady tech, in my opinion, but he lied to us as Americans about commerce, about shit that he's now in charge of and who he's dealt with. Because you're going to hear a couple of lies, and you're going to hear a couple of questions towards him. But the biggest one that I wanted to know is, why were you a board chairman alongside Epstein? And why did you encourage Epstein to go in on this company with you and a couple of other people we're going to see just days after that island visit that was supposedly just him and his wife passing through? And why did you encourage Epstein to put his donation, to put his shares behind a company called the Southern Trust LLC? So just to be clear, a guy who claimed under oath that him and his wife just happened to be passing by this island, and 4 babysitters and his 4 kids and his wife and some friends of the family and their nannies all just happened to be passing by this island on Christmas. They were there an hour and they left, and they never spoke to him again. This is the second lie told once he got busted for being on the island. And I'll tell you right now, there were 30 to 40 emails back and forth with just him, and at least 20 with his wife planning this trip to the island. And there were several after to follow up. So it wasn't just a oops, we passed through. And I'm going to show you all this proof. Then a few days later, him and some of the fellas on the island get together, and they all buy in to this tech company. And they buy in a lot. They buy in enough to call it a floating bank loan. I'm talking millions and millions of dollars. I believe Epstein's cut might have been like 50 million. And Epstein is the only one who hides his name under an LLC, aka a shell company. And Howard knows this. And Howard signs on, and he then becomes not only a shareholder alongside Epstein and these fellas who are on the island, but he becomes a leading board member. He is a leading shareholder for over 6 years, and might even still be today. And he never once disclosed any of this, and no one asked him about it. But one of the big quotes that you're going to hear him say, let me read the exact quote. I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy. You're going to see proof today that he actually coordinated several philanthropic events, mainly for political shit, with Epstein. Socially, they had over 15 lunches that were arranged that are in the Epstein files, and dinners and drinks. They coordinated. He actually threw him a painter and a construction worker to help him. He gave him one of the nannies, a nanny who would later sue Howard Lutnick or be sued by Howard Lutnick over an NDA that she broke. And not only that, he would reach out to Epstein to be like, did you hear that they're going to fuck up our view of the park? We need to do something about this, neighbor. What are we going to do? And that was just a few years ago. Then to top that off, consider that they're board members together and shareholders. Knowingly, Lutnick encouraged, if not suggested, by telling his assistant to email Epstein, Southern Trust LLC, use that. In fact, I think one of the craziest parts of that is when he says for business, because that is business. Okay. Socially, yes, 100%. His wife fucking emails Epstein more than some of the people who've been brought before the fucking oversight committee. So Allison was not that disturbed by the massage table, as she'll have you believe. So we've got business and socially, but philanthropically, yes. Yes, dinners, absolutely. Donating shit so that their view doesn't get blocked. Oh, absolutely. Here, have my nanny. Here, have my... And they spend a lot of time, him and Lutnick's assistant, discussing the nannies, and him and Leon Black. In fact, they had lunch with Leon Black, one of the worst perverts in the Epstein files. And this man is now our Secretary of Commerce under Trump, who fucking hates Hillary more than anything. And yet, why are they asking Hillary about what Lutnick's doing? Why not ask Trump? He picked him. It's very strange. But he lied to us about socially, business, and even philanthropy. And it's completely out of control that every time he gets caught in a lie, he ends up having to come back and clarify, and everyone's just okay with it. I think the biggest problem for me is not just all of that, but the part where Howard Lutnick says, sure, Jeffrey, I'll take your 50 grand donation, because there was a dinner honoring Howard. And not only did Jeffrey get permission to donate money to Howard Lutnick, Howard personally approved it, and they had to have someone named PB send it, which I thought at first was Palm Beach. No. He's making sure that even the donations are hidden, and this is in the emails. So Lutnick personally was given money by Jeffrey Epstein, knowing it was from Epstein, approved it, and approved that yet again, Epstein hide who he is. So it's very concerning to me that this guy is our Secretary of Commerce. I'm going to show you all that tonight, or at least half of it, and then the rest tomorrow. So let's take a look at some of Howard Lutnick's appearances in the media so you can get an idea in case you've forgotten. And he does look exactly like one of the masks in Epstein Island. And he was his neighbor. Oh, and let's not forget, he bought a house from Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, yeah, a whole fucking house. Jeffrey was not a realtor. So it's just nuts. Let's take a look at some. And by the way, he's very big in swaying things that are involving Russia, India, Iran, China, Libya. It's interesting. It's interesting the places he chooses to focus on. Most recently, India and Russia. And we're going to get more into this one specifically at another time. But his ties to foreign nations and trying to buy in on contracts to rebuild or at times even punish those nations is out of control. Let me turn this up. That'll help. If you can hear him live, that will help.
Before the Russian conflict, the Indians bought less than 2% of their oil from Russia. Less than 2%. And now they're buying 40% of their oil from Russia. What they're doing is, because the oil is sanctioned, it's really, really cheap because the Russians are trying to find people to buy it. And so the Indians have just decided, the heck with it. Let's buy it cheap and make a ton of money. But you know what? That is just plain wrong. It's ridiculous. And they either need to decide which side they want to be on. You know, what's funny is, remember, the Chinese sell. The Chinese, well, we're always willing to talk. The Chinese sell to us. The Indians sell to us. They're not going to be able to sell to each other. We are the consumer of the world. People have to remember, it's our $30 trillion economy that is the consumer of the world. So eventually they all have to come back to the customer, because we all know eventually the customer is always right. India doesn't yet want to open their market, stop buying Russian oil.
See, if the customer is always right, then everything he's saying would be bullshit. You can tell this is a guy that is used to going into boardrooms, using a lot of buzzwords, a lot of jargon, synergy, just to get what he wants. But nothing he's saying makes sense, okay? It's purposefully misleading and confusing. It is all hypocritical. It is all a paradox within itself. Because in the end, this is the same person who wants you to believe that there's a sex trafficking ring that only Ghislaine and Jeffrey were responsible for. He knew nothing about it. And despite it being over 6 million documents, for sure over that, despite that, there apparently were no fucking customers. Okay.
Oil, right? And stop being a part of BRICS, right? They're the vowel between Russia and China. If that's who you want to be, go be it. But either support the dollar, support the United States of America, support your biggest client, who is the American consumer, or I guess you're going to pay a 50% tariff. And let's
see, this is the part that I wanted to highlight. This part right here. Listen to what he says again. Support your biggest client. In America, that's the American consumer, right? That's us.
Client, who is the American consumer.
Support your biggest client, who is the American consumer.
America, support your biggest client, who is the American consumer, or I guess you're going to pay a 50% tariff.
Okay, let's stop right there. Support the American consumer. They're your biggest client, or else you're going to pay a 50% tariff. If they have to pay a 50% tariff, let's make this clear, that doesn't affect them at all, because all they have to do is raise the price of goods up 50%. And then guess who has to pay for it? Us. Because that's how supply and demand works. So just to be clear, people were using bananas and mangoes the other day as an example. But I think it's a good example. Let's be clear on this. Because I do understand tariffs are complicated. If we only can get mangoes from South America and we put a 50% tariff on South America just because the president had his fucking period, okay? I'm bleeding out of my vagina. I got to put a fucking tariff on mangoes, okay? So now we're telling them, you want to send us your mangoes? Cool. You have to pay us a 50% tax, if you will. And then they go, oh, you're going to charge me more to do that? Okay. Well, now mangoes went from $1 to $50. There you go. So then when there's a demand for mangoes, they tell the markets here in the United States, the supermarkets, yeah, we've got your mangoes, but the problem is they're now $5,000 okay, instead of $5. And the market goes, shit. Well, we need these mangoes. The demand for mangoes is extremely high. The price is going up at restaurants because we're short on mangoes. It's mango smoothie season. Megan Thee Stallion just came out with a mango commercial for Dunkin'. What are we going to do? We order the mangoes and we charge the customer $55 a mango. So when we're sitting here going, why are eggs more than my fucking rent? It's because tariffs. And that's a great point, because now the foreign mangoes are rotting. And what does that do to the businesses? It makes them go, oh, fuck, we've lost all this money. Now, here's the thing about Lutnick. He did a whole buy, sell, short type of thing. A thing like they did with the GameStop shit. And he basically bet against the tariffs. The very tariffs that he encourages and laughs at Trump and says, fucking, these are great. Threaten them. Threaten these foreign nations with high prices. That doesn't affect them. That affects us. And just to be clear, who the fuck are we? Howard Lutnick, who are we?
Support the United States of America. Support your biggest client.
We are your biggest fucking client, Howard. And now you're fucking us. So that's what the tariffs do. So that's why the other day, let's pretend eggs are foreign imports. Because with the eggs, the whole situation is farming. The farmers are taxed. And it's the same issue, but it's locally. Same concept, local. My point is, everything that we get on Amazon, where's it from? China. You raise the tariffs in China, what's going to fucking happen? Do you think that China is going to take all that brunt? Fuck no. They're over here making metal car parts with their fucking feet. They've got slave labor still, okay? There are sweatshops. They can't afford it and they won't. They will charge us. Okay, well, now you want this shit. Now it's more expensive. So everything you order on Amazon is going to go up in price and we're going to pay for it. We've already seen it. When just the threat of a tariff can cripple a stock market. We've already seen it happen. So when Trump implemented these tariffs because he was having a fussy period day, because he was bleeding out of his cunt. All right, let's be clear about that. Because he was having a bad day. All of a sudden, the markets are moved insanely. It affects everybody. Okay, prices went up in anticipation of tariffs. Then the tariffs were paid by these companies. And then a judge said, no, no, no. This is illegal, you dumb fuck. Now you have to pay back all those companies for what they paid you. They paid you these tariffs. These tariffs were illegal. Give the money back to them. And what does Trump do? Where does he get the money? From us. So now we're paying back these billion-dollar corporations because Trump fucked up. Now, guess who bought in on that? Guess what companies were affected and who bought in on that? Him and his sons. Howard Lutnick's sons made billions of dollars off of this. Because not only are they going to get paid back, but they're going to be able to sue the federal government and get money. And we're going to pay that. So this is all on our backs. We are all basically carrying the brunt of this man's mistakes in addition to the president's. Let's move on. Okay, I don't know why that's in there.
We had lunch on the island. That is true.
So this is him talking about the lunch on the island. Pay very close attention to what he says.
Lunch on the island. That is true for an hour. And we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it. Of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him.
There are over 30 connecting you with him just for the island visit. But there are so fucking many. There are over to, I'll show you the exact number. It's insane. It's insane. I even took screenshots because the numbers change daily. Let's take a look at it right fucking now. Okay. Let me make this nice and big. Just to be clear, let's take a look at this. Share this tab instead. You see that? Howard Lutnick, full name, 137 results. Lutnick, just last name, 239. His wife, Allison, 31. 31 emails between Allison and Epstein's assistants. Epstein, Howard about this lunch. These are all just to plan a fucking lunch. Just passing through is insane. Sir, you need, sir.
Your Honor, defer. Miss Janice.
Judge Athens.
Your Honor, this is so unfair. Your Honor, I think I want to appeal. Your Honor. Your Honor, stop. This is propaganda. Your Honor, this is fake. Don't believe what they say.
Okay, don't believe what they said. We'll let him continue.
Lunch on the island. That is true. For an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it. Of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him. I barely had anything to do with that person.
I barely had anything to do with that person. Okay, clock that. I barely had anything to do with that person. I literally met him 3 times over 14 years. Okay. This is, wow. Absolute lies. I'll prove it.
Literally met him 3 times over 14 years with widespread in between. I have done absolutely nothing wrong. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely nothing.
Okay. We'll see about that, Howard.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick will voluntarily testify in the House Oversight Committee's investigation into the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. That's according to the committee's chairman, though no date has been set. Lutnick told Axios, quote, "I look forward to appearing before the committee. I have done nothing wrong, and I want to set the record straight." He used to be Epstein's neighbor in Manhattan and has admitted to visiting Epstein's private island back in 2012. Lutnick has not been accused of any wrongdoing.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.
I know Howard Lutnick because when I was senator on 9/11, the firm he headed, Cantor Fitzgerald, suffered the greatest loss of life. As I recall, something like 650 of his employees were murdered by terrorists that day. Howard Lutnick missed being a victim because he was delayed dropping his child off to kindergarten. You asked the question. I'm going to answer your question.
Now you're gonna yell
This
at
was
me?
what I spent
You're
my
going to yell at
time
me.
doing.
I'm a survivor trying to look out for other survivors trying to
and
protect
I
them.
was taking care
You
of
waited
the
6
people
months
who
to
lost
get here today.
3,000
6 months,
lives
and now you're being
at World
defiant
Trade
and
Center.
indignant today.
You asked me
I
about
have met
Howard
with
Lutnick.
Epstein survivors. I'm a survivor myself. You have emails. You've denied that Jeffrey Epstein, that you tried to get Jeffrey Epstein to give money to you.
I did
but
not.
Howard Lutnick was
If
used
you
to
have an
get
email
money.
with me asking Jeffrey
I
Epstein
have
for
an
money,
email from Howard Lutnick sending it to Jeffrey Epstein and his people to
I
raise
don't-
money for
I don't
you.
know.
Just to be clear, Howard Lutnick sent an invite to a dinner party to Jeffrey with the expressed intention of, listen, you can't go to the dinner, but you can donate money. You should give Hillary money. Hillary didn't ask Howard to do that, and there's no proof of that whatsoever. It was literally a bunch of rich people that sponsored it, including his business. So he's trying to get people to go to the dinner. It's like when you're selling chocolate bars in middle school and they give you a bunch of chocolate bars and then you hand some to your mom and say, can you go sell these at work so I don't have to go to door and almost get kidnapped? And then your mom goes, okay. And she goes to work and she says, anybody want to buy these chocolate bars for my fucking kid? Howard is friends with Jeffrey. They're co-shareholders. They're board members. They purchased an insane amount of stock for a tech company that they were talking about for months. They went to multiple lunches together. And Howard's been tasked with sponsoring a dinner for Hillary. And Howard needs to get people at this dinner or get donations rolling in. So he reaches out to everyone he fucking knows and has his assistant do that. And they reached out to Hillary. They reached out to Epstein. Howard did. Hillary doesn't fucking know. Like, that's like saying I would know everyone my mom reached out to at work. I don't fucking know. Do you see what I mean? Like, this is insane. Asking her to do this. You have Howard Lutnick there. You should ask him why he sent that fucking email. I mean, come on. Why don't you do that? I love that she yelled at them. I really do. Anyway, let's let her continue.
About an event, an intimate event for you at his offices at Cantor Fitzgerald. You're going to sit here today and obfuscate and say to this committee, you didn't try to get money from Jeffrey Epstein when there was an intimate event in an email.
Also, not an intimate event. Lots of people were invited. Not everyone could make it, like a couple hundred. And I don't believe it was at Cantor Fitzgerald. I believe that got blown up in 9/11. I do believe that it was actually at a dinner hall or some shit. And Cantor Fitzgerald was one of the sponsors of it. A lot of people, the Dubins did too. Why didn't anyone ask them? That was literally Jeffrey's fucking fuck pouch. His side piece fuck pouch ex-girlfriend. Also ask Trump. He drew pubes in a naked woman and sent him a birthday. Ask Trump. Ask the people who spoke directly to Epstein. Because again, there's not a single email that has been released that shows Hillary in any way speaking of him or to him at all. And you would think with over 6 million, if they had a single one connecting her, they fucking would have put it in there. There's no way in hell they wouldn't have. Also, isn't it crazy how Trump did a triple Benghazi the other day and no one's saying anything about that? It's just kind of weird.
That Howard Lutnick emailed to Epstein's people and Epstein to get him to come to your intimate event at Cantor Fitzgerald, a very small event. And so I'm not going to put it. You want to yell at me, that's fine, but I'll yell right back.
They're acting like it's Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, they're acting like it's a fuck party. They're acting like, hey, go to La Trapeze and swing around with Roger Stone and Rex Heuermann. That's not what it is. It's literally a fundraiser. This is insane. Howard Lutnick took a direct donation from Jeffrey and was a co-board member with him. Why don't you ask him about that instead of yelling at a woman who was never the president about someone her husband hung out with? This is fucking wild.
Well, okay, I am looking out for survivors. I'm doing the job that you would not do and refuse to do as Secretary of State. Thank you, and I yield back to
I'm going to finish answering the question, which I have a right to do. I am very sympathetic to your personal situation. I have read about it. I have seen you testify or speak on the floor about it. And I very much sympathize with not only what you went through, but appreciate your effort to stand up for survivors. I was a senator representing the people who were murdered on 9/11. Nobody lost more people than Howard Lutnick. You can say whatever you want. You can call him and have him appear before the committee. But I knew him as the man who lost the employees that he knew intimately, including his brother.
And he was a
So
go-between
I
between
worked.
you and
Let
Jeffrey
her finish
Epstein
her
raising
answer,
money
please.
for you.
Let her finish her answer.
You know what? If you don't want to hear what emotionally affected me, that's fine. But that's why I know Howard Lutnick. I went to the memorial service every 9/11 after the formal service was held.
And let's be real clear about this. This is the same Nancy Mace who, much like Marjorie Taylor Greene and much like Lauren Boebert, has been well known for being a total cunt for a long time to victims. And then all of a sudden is very victim-centric. Sexual harassment, the Me Too movement didn't mean shit to these women. But all of a sudden, now that their party has rejected them, they're starting to see the light. Now, here's the problem. Nancy Mace still got a little cunt in her. Okay? She can flip the bitch switch off temporarily, but it comes back on the second you leave. Nancy Mace is the same person who went on a trans rampage because apparently pronouns make her melt like the Wicked Witch of the West. She herself, who with her bone structure could pass it, you know, it doesn't matter. The point is, she fucking hates trans people because she can't mind her own goddamn business. And she doesn't understand the difference between sexuality and gender. And she's just a bad person. And she's not very smart, in my opinion. And she has managed to weasel her way up into being the martyr for all who have been sexually touched against their will. Somehow she's managed to yet again make it all about her. And boy does she want to lead the brigade now. You would think it would be her and Boebert and Marjorie literally clawing at each other's faces to get at the front of this Epstein Files movement. And yet she's yelling at Hillary Clinton right now, just to be clear, because of an email Howard Lutnick sent to someone inviting them to a dinner that his company was sponsoring for what amounts to a PAC for Hillary a long time ago. Okay.
What you're doing
With
here,
all-
and you're
with
obfuscating
all
from
of
the
his
questions. He was
people, the
go-between
families.
between you and Jeffrey Epstein raising money. For your
Well,
campaign.
you know, Howard Lutnick and I did
Thank
work
you. I will
together
now yield
because
to
we had a
Congressman
lot of
Lutnick.
victims
Thank you.
to take care of, and we worked together to rebuild downtown Manhattan.
So I invite Elon to Madison Square Garden. He doesn't want to leave Pennsylvania, right? Because Elon, he's committed to Pennsylvania.
Now, I find this interesting because he's apparently homies with Elon, who wasn't allowed to go to the island, but he was. And now he's dunking on Elon. Interesting. Still dunking on Elon. I don't know if it's because of the rosacea on his belly or because he took too much ketamine, slipped into a K-hole, got punched in the face by his son. I don't know. But I slipped this in there because it is kind of silly.
Yeah. So I convince him he's got to come, and we have a plan. Everyone else gets introduced by the voice of God. I'm the only one who introduces Elon. So Elon comes on stage with me. There's the two of us on stage in Madison Square Garden. I say to him, how much are you going to cut? The deal was he's going to cut $1 trillion. And then he's supposed to say, and how much are you going to earn? And I'm supposed to say $1 trillion. And then we're supposed to say, together we're going to balance the budget of the United States of America. That's the little sort of thing. So
Can someone out there who is more skilled than I make a Rod and Todd video where it's Rod and Todd doing this sketch? This fun little skit. This little skit they came up with. These are improv guys, okay? They're all about the yes and. You feel me? Can someone do Rod and Todd from The Simpsons pretending to be Lutnick and Elon? I'm going to lose $1 trillion. I'm going to gain $1 trillion. And we're the sons of Ned. Just something fun like that.
you're going to cut. The deal was he's going to cut $1 trillion. And then he's supposed to say, and how much are you going to earn? And I'm supposed to say $1 trillion. And then
Also, is this the same thing where Tony went out and said that Puerto Ricans are trash and then fucking got canceled briefly? Because goddamn, it was so nice to see nobody laugh at that joke.
we're supposed to say together we're going to balance the budget of the United States of America. That's the little sort of thing. So I asked Elon, how much are you going to cut?
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
He said $2 trillion.
Well, because we're in front of 22,000 people and the place is erupting, he says $2 trillion. And then I'm sitting there going, and I'm like, I think I said, alrighty then.
Alrighty
or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, what was I supposed to say? Yeah!
First of all, he screamed, yeah, not alrighty then. Second of all, he lied. You're supposed to say, no, it's 1 million. Don't lie to the American people.
Hey, yeah!
You were caught off guard, but I mean,
Did he ask you how much you're going to earn?
No, because he said $2 trillion.
He's like, I got it all. Don't worry, Howard. Yeah.
Like I said, alrighty then, and that was that. So then I walked off stage, and he said $2 trillion. So like, what am I going to say?
Well, I think what happens is each country has to decide, can they live without their needs, if they can work pretty together.
Okay, I've been muted the whole time. We're going to skip this one because I slipped in a few that I did not intend to. And also, 19 months. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's so long. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Tesh.
We want to talk to you about your role, of course. And
going here.
The big issue is you can't fight a war.
Okay. So again, commerce. Okay. Now we're talking about steel production. Interesting when you consider Christi Noem just signed a giant contract for steel to build her big fake wall. Check this out.
The big issue is you can't fight a war without steel and aluminum production in America. You have to be able to make it. If you don't have the ability to make your own steel and aluminum, you can't fight a war. And that is what the president's doing. He's trying to make sure that we make sufficient steel and aluminum to protect our defense industry.
Which I certainly support. I'm sure all of us support.
Sounds like we exactly agree.
But I don't agree on the way it's being done, because we're not going to have the steel that we need immediately to provide the supplies that we need immediately.
Why did the Epstein files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
Thank you for the question. I'm glad to be here to make it clear that I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York. Right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall. 2 times. And that is none for 6 years. So 6 years later, I met him. And then a year and a half after that, I met him, and never again.
Okay, let's pause here. So you've heard enough of his lies just for now. Okay. Now we're going to go in order. Okay. We're going to go in order. And I'm going to show you some stuff. And I'm going to show you specifically the antithesis of those lies, which is the truth. I'm going to show you. Hold on. Let me just move these documents. We're going to go in order with the first email in the files that has anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein and Howard Lutnick. And that is from 2011. And interestingly enough, as we go chronologically through their relationship, you'll notice that the emails get more and more intimate, as Nancy Mace likes to say. Not just the emails, like the get-togethers, the relationship in general. It progresses. So I just want to disclaimer, that while this is the first trace of Howard and Jeffrey that I know of in the Epstein files that I'm about to show you. In fact, I'm going to share the entire screen. Okay. I'm going to share the entire screen here so that you can see. We can get through them quickly. Oh my God, Laura. I just saw the yellow pop up. Thank you so much for the $9.99. That will go to Hugin's chicken weenies, which have been tariffed. The chicken weenies have been tariffed. Hugin is coping. He's coping. Okay. They went up $2. I blame China. I blame Trump. But I'll tell you exactly how they can be so cute and then calmly blast a toxic fart in your face with no conscience. It's because they have no conscience. They are filled with fluff and farts. And they have to release the farts so that they can be happy. And it's all about that, isn't it? Thank you, Laura. Thank you for supporting Hugin's chicken weenie addiction. All right. So, one more time. What did he just say? He just said, you know what? Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let me remove this real quick. Okay. Stop sharing. Because I really want to hammer in here how much of a lying liar this guy is who is lying right now. All right. I just want to hammer this in.
Why did the Epstein files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
Thank you for the question. I'm glad to be here to make it clear that I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York, right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall. 2 times. And that is none for 6 years. So 6 years later, I met him. And then.
So he moved in. And then 6 years later, he met him.
And a year and a half after that, I met him and never again. Probably the total. And you've seen all of these documents.
Okay, so a year and a half in, he met him and then never again. Okay, so a year and a half and then never again.
Of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him.
There are over 100. There are over 100 connecting you with him, over 30 personally connecting you with him physically and putting you in a place together. Just to be clear.
Probably about 10 emails connecting me with him over a 14-year period. I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with.
Okay, I know we've got behavioral analysts that watch this channel. I know Sarah's going to come in and see this. That little smack right before he said that. That's what gets me. That's what gets my goose.
Have any relationship with him. I barely.
Any relationship with him. Fucking drink your water, you goob.
Any relationship with.
That's a big. I'm just going to say it. I believe in the BAU.
Any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person. Okay?
Secretary Lutnick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you.
I barely had anything to do with that person. I did not have sexual relationships with that woman.
Described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
So what did he say? He said, we walked into his apartment. He showed us a massage table. He leaned forward and he said the right kind of massages. And the hairs stood up on the back of my neck. And I said, we will never, in the 6 to 7 feet, walk back to my house. I looked to my wife and I said, we will never, ever go near that man again. And then Allison sent him 30 fucking emails to arrange Christmas together. Okay.
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me as were.
Oh, I'm sorry. You just had one lunch with him? Okay.
For my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children. And we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour. And we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012.
Untoward. I would say there's something goddamn perverted about it, personally, because you took your children to an island, a deserted island, if you will, aside from the registered fucking sex offender, pedophile, sex trafficking, conman, financier. I would say that's pretty fucked up. You know, if a black woman did that, you would take away her welfare. And you would say it's because she makes bad choices. You would make her get drug tested and blame the drugs. You would find a way to take away her job. And I say her because they love to focus on women. Blame the girl. If a Hispanic person did it, you would deport them. You would call them a criminal. It's disgusting. Like, do you have to be wearing a shirt that says I am a Democrat to get these motherfuckers to call you in and question you about your crimes? Do you have to speak Spanish at them to upset them enough to get them to ask questions about the sex trafficking? Maybe you just need to listen to hip hop and that's enough. Old white guy always gets the promotion, C. Smith. Always. Okay. So, with everything that you just heard, keep that in mind as we go through this. February 3rd, 2011. Okay. Let's start at the bottom where we should. Now, this is, of course, from Jeffrey because you can see the weird shit. Rich Barnett has left a message for the painter. The painter's name is Penn. Here's his phone number. And it's no longer active, so it's fine. Mr. Epstein, Anthony Barnett gave me Penn's phone number, said he uses him for paint jobs. I spoke to the guy and he says he does painting and plastering and general contracting. I have heard he's not very good. I will have Miss Maxwell. Sorry, Penn. I will have Miss Maxwell's painter, Dominic Zewick, come in and give quotes for work you are looking to do if you would like. Howard Lutnick has been using them for all his painting needs in all his homes. So like I said, this is the first mention of Howard Lutnick in the files. And it is, again, not a connection directly. We're not blaming him for this. This is actually a great example of what Nancy Mace was mad about at Hillary. Imagine somebody said, Hillary, imagine this would replace his name with Hillary. Hillary Clinton has been using them for all of her painting needs in her homes. I guarantee you Nancy Mace would be screaming at Hillary. Why did someone recommend your painter to him? That's another reason I'd like to show it to you. But mainly this is the first mention at all of Howard Lutnick in the files, okay? Let's go on to the second. All right, so just to be clear, that was February 3rd, 2011. That was on a Thursday. Now we move forward. This is Epstein's assistant, Leslie, March 24th, 2011. So this is a month and some change later. This is from Leslie to Jeffrey. The subject is Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick is on an airplane headed overseas. His office would like to know if you would like to set up a call while he is away, or if you prefer to speak with him Monday, April 4th, when he is back. So this is Howard Lutnick reaching out to Jeffrey Epstein in 2011 in March to see if they can arrange a meeting. Okay? So then let's move forward. This is April 27th. Howard Lutnick will come see you at 5 p.m. on Monday, May 1st. Howard's home phone number. We have a corresponding email that has the phone number and it matches Howard Lutnick's. So this is in April. So now we have a confirmed meeting with Jeffrey in 2011. He will come see you Sunday, May 1st. And actually, let's go back a month. This is the same email earlier, but it is a different email with the same info, basically. So this is to Jeffrey from Leslie. And in this case, same subject, Howard Lutnick, 5 minutes later, but they added this. Leslie added this. This is why this is in here. So you know, anytime we see Matthew or Katie, that's going to be Howard Lutnick's assistants. Howard Lutnick is on an airplane headed overseas. His office would like to know if you would like to set up a call while he is away, or if you prefer to speak with him Monday, April 4th, when he is back. Let me know. Matthew and Katie are his assistants. So she's like, by the way, I know I gave you his number earlier and told you he's on a plane. He wants to set up a call, but also here are his assistants, Matthew and Katie, who will send multiple emails back and forth. Okay. Now we're going to go back to April 4th, the day of the second meeting. Well, really, this is the first. The other one was the second because that was April 27th. So on the 4th, Howard Lutnick returned your call. So just to be clear, and we have 2 calls from Lutnick directly to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. Then we have him returning a call on the 4th, the day they're supposed to have a meeting. And we have an itinerary with a meeting listed. So that is now 2 meetings, because then you include the next meeting a month later. All right. So those are just a few. Let me go ahead and pull up some more. Let's keep going in order. But of course, I know that this shit can get very overwhelming and daunting. So I just want to remind you all.
Send this to someone on the Epstein list. Hello, scoundrel. If you are panicking right now because you may have done some crimes, don't worry. Using airtight logic, I've designed a fashion that will absolve you of any sin. I am not on the Epstein list. And also there is no list. And also there is one, but it's fake. Please comment. Obama made me do it.
Okay, so Obama made you do it. Do not forget that. Never forget that. Also, don't forget this.
Get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't been on the roof. Never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't lay on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy drill on the roof. Never seen a big boy drill on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy drill on the roof. Big boy drilling on the roof. Big boy drilling on the roof. Big boy ain't drilling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. How you do it like that? Damn, you got tools on your back. Climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Shit, big boy get loose. Shit, big boy get loose. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never, oh shit, you falling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy hop on the roof. How you do it like that? Oh shit, you just like a back. Oh shit, pick up your back. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get your ass out the roof. Get your ass back out the roof. I ain't never see a big boy leap on the roof. Get a big ass out.
Okay, and now we move on to April 5th, 2011. All right. Reminder, you want to speak to Howard Lutnick today with the phone number. Howard Lutnick's phone number from Leslie. So this is a day after the 4th, where they've already had a meeting. So now they're having another. It's Howard calling him. Then we move forward to, sorry, let me reshare this. And let me make sure they're nice and big. Okay. Now we keep going. This is April 13th, 2011. This is a call list from yesterday below. We left a message for Leon, Black, Boris, Jess, remember, one of the co-conspirators, along with Leon and Boris, Stephanie Thacker, John Brockman. Wow, these are all a lot of the trafficking co-conspirators and people who fucking, upheld Jeffrey's way of life and living. And it's interesting how many are redacted. But anyway, a lot of the people who took part in this or had some very nefarious parts in this sex trafficking plot, in my opinion, seem to be mentioned in this email, but I digress. April 13th, 2011, this is a call list to Jeffrey from someone who's redacted. Interesting there. This is a call list from yesterday below. We left a message for Leon, Boris, Jess, Stephanie Thacker, John Brogman, and Blank. Blank was the only one to call back. Also, Howard Lutnick is available today from 10 to 2 in the office. I will add him to our list today. By the way, this is a list of people that Jeffrey wants to meet for lunch or dinner. So now we have another call from Howard Lutnick. So that's crazy, right? We're at 7 calls, multiple appointments. Let's keep going. So this is 4/27. So a few days later, still waiting to hear back from Nick Rebus. This is for May 1st. Okay. So this is for May. This is his list, his itinerary for Jeffrey. Now, I don't know why they took Leslie out of it, but it's Leslie's itinerary for him. Still waiting to hear back from Nick. Breakfast with Todd. Tentative with Nick. Mark. Oh, look, an appointment with Michael Wolff, who was writing a book on Trump and who was fucking around with him and Steve Bannon. And what's this? Drinks with Lutnick at 5 p.m. So that is what? A fourth confirmed in-person meeting. And then, of course, dinner with Woody Allen, Soon Yi, Steve Clausen, Catherine Keating, Alexandria Keating, Karina, and Glenn Dubin may stop by. Karina was his girlfriend at the time. Very interesting. Buffet dinner for Jeffrey Epstein, the sex trafficking pedophile financier, at the home of Vera Wang. Huh. In 2011. It was very well known he was a sex trafficker. I don't know why Vera Wang had him over for a buffet. Then we move on to May 5th, 2011. Drinks with Lutnick again. That's another in-person hangout. Drinks. Then we move on to June 2011. See this master planner NYC events to Stephanie from Jeffrey? Do you see this calendar of major event bookings and fundraisers in New York? Jeffrey wanted his assistant to get him information on only interesting screening, etc., if any, the week of the 13th. He wants to do a screening on the week of the 13th. And it's interesting because, and look here, Mark Texiera. We could go on and on, but one of the Texieras was a whistleblower. That's another day. Oh, look, a Kavanaugh. Different spelling, I think. So let's go in and let's see, well, where is Lutnick mentioned? Right there. So as you can see, it's the bids for kids. It's a VIP reception. It's honoring Howard Lutnick and Mark Texiera. Interesting. Interesting how they black out the date. But when you look it up, it's the week he's interested in. So he's going to go hang out with some kids. He's going to sponsor a kids event for Lutnick. Great. The sex trafficking pedophile. So now we have from Leslie, Jeffrey's assistant, to Howard Lutnick directly. And everybody was CC'd, including Epstein. Hello, Mr. Lutnick. Jeffrey Epstein understands you will be down in St. Thomas some over the holidays. Now, this is also the family that went with him, the maids, and Howard's wife in the CCs. And you can see that in other emails. Jeffrey Epstein understands you will be down in St. Thomas some over the holidays. Jeffrey requested I please pass along some phone numbers to you so the two of you can possibly get together. Any numbers you wanted to pass along to Jeffrey would be great as well. See all this? Gives you all the info, all the phone numbers. And this was in November 20th. So a month and 5 days before Christmas. Jeffrey invites him to the island. Now, I'm going to warn you, between this and the next one you're about to see, there are At minimum 40 emails arranging that meetup. Okay. That was in November. But let's go back 1 month. The Dubin Breast Cancer Center did a second annual benefit because Eva Dubin is a doctor and she has a breast cancer center. She sent an invite to Jeffrey Epstein. And this invite is for this dinner. And as you can see, Allison and Howard Lutnick are benefit co-chairs. They are also benefit co-chairs with Eva Dubin on a big-ass crew to try to raise funds for Hillary Clinton. They were registered Democrats at the time, and they did this for all the Democratic candidates. So keep this in mind when you see more of these invites. And then remember the shit I showed you with Nancy Mace. That's what she's upset about. It's the same thing. It's the exact equivalent. Here's an invite. Now, Hillary, go to jail. It's so fucking stupid. It is absolutely stupid. Okay. So let me pull up a few more. And while I'm pulling that up, I do think that you guys need a fresh reminder of the type of shit we do on this channel.
Mr. Thilly, I started your time.
Did you know I can do the backspin? Anybody? You want to see me do the backspin? No? You want to do? You know, like the backspin? I'm going to do the backspin. Can I do it up here? Watch this. Why did our taxes go up so much? We were told the referendum was going to bring it up for an average household about $400, I think. And mine went up like $900. And I think we were told like that was from the schools or something. But the school referendum said it would only go up, like I said, $400 on an average assessed home. So, wanted to know why it went up, if it did, much more than that. And, what extra expenses were incurred by the schools that weren't told to the public when we voted on that referendum. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Thilly. I like the interpretive dance.
Mr. Thilly, I like the interpretive dance as well. Okay, so let's continue, shall we? because there's more. There's always more. Remember what he said. He met him once, then 6 years later, again, briefly. He fucking didn't know the guy. He didn't know him. He's never met him a day in his life. He doesn't know shit about him. Anyway, here's another email with them. So this is right before Christmas, right before the island meetup. Again, please keep in mind, I have skipped 30, 40, 50 emails. Okay. It's hard to count because there was like 30 from Howard's wife, and there were more. Every assistant sent an email. Okay. There were like 4 emails back and forth just about like the charcutes. Just kidding. It was about like arranging shit with the babysitters. But regardless, a lot of planning went into this. So much planning that I had to separate all the emails just about the island trip. Just emails about the island trip alone from and to anybody. There were at least 45 copies. Okay. Some of them were triplicates, but they were from all 3 parties, like they do. When you whittle it down, there was probably like 18 to 20 that were straight up new. There were so many emails arranging this. It would take 2 hours to go through all of them. And they're all the same fucking shit. So we're just going to go through a few basic ones. Okay, keep in mind, he's got these assistants, Matthew and the girl, and then there's Allison is fucking Howard's wife. Okay? So this is what we're working with. So this is 2 from Howard Lutnick info. This is Jeffrey Epstein up here. I don't know why they block him out. And to Matthew. I had CC'd y'all on the below message a while ago, but I thought I would forward this again. Now it includes Howard's and wife's cell, as well as Howard's assistant info. You can call me anytime. Howard's cell is, Allison Lutnick is, Matthew Gilbert, Office of Howard Lutnick, Chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald. Hello, Mr. Lutnick. Jeffrey Epstein understands you will be down in St. Thomas some over the holidays. Jeffrey requested I please pass along some phone numbers to you. And it goes on and on. And as you can see, Jeffrey's office is St. Thomas and is FTC. Daphne and Anna are the contacts, and they're also CC'd here. So now there's all these people CC'd. We're arranging this big fucking trip. Yay. Lots of details. So now we go forward one day. It is the next day. Thank you, says Allison, who is terrified of Jeffrey because of his massage table and agrees with Howard. We will never be in the presence of that man again. That monster. Says, thank you. Oh my God, thank you. Thanks for the info. Hello again, Allison. Jeffrey says 1:30 arrival will be great. Can you please instruct on where the boat should go? Thanks and have a wonderful time, Leslie. Now, this is a response to Allison, who said, and keep in mind, Allison is horrified that this man gets cum massages, gets fucking sexually harasses women, pays women and men, sex traffic. This fucking pervert with a massage table in the middle of his talking about fucking whacking off at the end. How dare you, you nasty fucking sick son of a bitch. We will never be around him again. Howard, you will never be in the presence of that monster. Fast forward a couple of months. Hi, Leslie. This is Allison Lutnick. We're looking forward to visiting you. We'll be coming from Keneal Bay in the morning. We are a crowd. 2 families, each with 4 kids ranging in ages of 7 to 16, 6 boys and 2 girls. I hope that's okay. We would love to join you for lunch. Please advise on timing and exactly where our boat should go. Would 1 or 1:30 p.m. work for lunch for you? We are traveling on a yacht called Excellence, and I'm CCing the captain. Kisses. She didn't say kisses. But it's kind of crazy that she even lists the ages of the children. Hi, Mr. Sex Trafficker. This is Allison Lutnick here. I'd like to bring my kids to your fuck island. Are you available for lunch? I'm still horrified about your massage table, by the way. Ha ha ha. Is 1:30 good? Then we move on. Allison Lutnick again, 2 days later. Hi, Allison. Great to hear you're headed over. I'm actually not on the island. I just spoke to Blank, and he and Blank will be sending you an email with more instructions. I think they need to know what kind of boat you are on so they can instruct you properly. Thanks and have a great day. From Allison. Hi, Blank. We are heading towards you from St. Thomas. Where should we anchor exactly? What is your phone number? Okay. She's terrified, by the way, as she says this. Another one just from the day prior, just in case you didn't get enough. Can Howard Lutnick do lunch on Saturday the 22nd or Sunday the 23rd? So now we're planning a lunch before the lunch, because that lunch is Christmas. This is a separate lunch. This is Howard. This is Jeffrey saying, can Howard do lunch before that? And then we'll do that lunch. So there was another lunch just days prior, but he forgot that. He forgot to tell that one. And he also forgot about the 4 lunches we talked about and the 2 sets of drinks he had. But it's fine. They barely fucking knew each other. You guys trust me. Anyway, moving on. This is, again, before Christmas. Come Saturday or Sunday lunch, Little St. James on the map behind Christman's Cove. This is directly to Howard Lutnick, directly to him. Okay, lunch on Sunday. See you then. Directly from Howard Lutnick, who was just passing by. Hi, Matthew and Candace. Might you be able to give Bryce and Blank a few more details regarding lunch this Sunday? Do you know if it will just be Howard and his wife? Any kids coming along? Jeffrey wants to know if there's any kids. Ugh. And it goes on with the same bullshit planning. Let's keep going. So now we have moved on. We're actually going before that because we forgot there was a lunch before that. There was another lunch before that. So remember how there was one November 20th? Okay, now there's another on the 21st. Okay, and they just want to talk about the lunch they're going to have in the future. So let's add another lunch in there. Did Bobby Kotick and Howard Lutnick get my email yesterday? RE Island numbers? We're just planning another lunch. It's fine. We have so many lunches. The island makes you hungry. So now we're on to Christmas Eve, the birth of Christ. The birth of our Lord Christ child. And what is this we have? Good morning, Howard. Jeffrey wished me to pass along the below to you. Nice seeing you. Please read number 2.3. So to Howard, directly from Jeffrey, Christmas Eve. Please read number 2.3. Weird. Wonder what that's about. And then we move forward. Now, I wasn't sure why this was in here at first. And I went, In sequential order, just to be clear, before you see this document, they have lunch on Christmas. They arrive Christmas Eve. It was supposed to be an hour. It was a day. Maybe overnight, the way it looks. But I digress. Let's move on, because just 3 days later, 3 days after the birth of Christ, after celebrating on the pedo fuck island with her children, Allison and her kids, they're joining Howard and another couple and more kids on the pedo island. No big deal. Just normal mom shit. Now, 3 days later, oddly, very oddly, keep in mind, Howard and him also had a solo lunch before the lunch on the island. So they had their own lunch and then this lunch. Oddly, just 3 days later, Advent Solutions, Inc., a Delaware corporation, did Nebraska much, is entered into the date set forth above between Advent Solutions, a Delaware corporation, the company, yikes, and the undersigned purchasers, each a purchaser and collectively the purchasers, set forth the schedule of purchasers attached here to blah, blah. This is what this is. This is a company that needed money. And it's a new tech securities thing. Okay. You wouldn't understand it. We're just little people. It needs investors. Okay. It needs investors. It needs board members. It needs a lot of stock. So 3 days after meeting on the fuck island, interestingly enough, we see this document. And as we scroll down this document, we see that it's signed by David Mitchell, who is in a lot of documents with Epstein. They do business together. They do shell company type of shit together, and they invest. Then we see Jonathan Liedersdorf. These are all Epstein's buddies. These are people he has seen working quite a bit with on going in on companies and investments together. Richard Kirschenbaum, Tom Glosher. Oh, what's this? Southern Trust Company, i.e., one of Jeffrey Epstein's shell companies, who he is president of. So he's a purchaser of this preferred stock. Huh. Oh, who else? Who else is a purchaser? By God, Howard Lutnick. So let's be real fucking clear here. You don't just meet a pedophile on his island on Christmas with your family for lunch. But you could meet in international waters on a boat for lunch before your pedo island visit, which we saw arranged in the email. And perhaps do a little illegal shit discussing stocks and investments with Howard Lutnick. And then oddly, 3 days later, this guy that you've only met briefly and you've never done business with or philanthropy or socialized with. Oddly, you're socializing with him. Oddly, we've seen the philanthropy already with the invites. And now, oddly, we see the business. You're co-chairs in a stock purchase agreement for a company that you are giving a floating loan to with David Mitchell and these other schleps. Because make no mistake, there's numbers. Do you see this? $350,000 Series H preferred stock investment. That's $350K from Howard. There's much more from Jeffrey. And look at this. What's the purchase price? Let's take a look at this. David Mitchell got $200,000. Richard got $50,000. Tom got this much. Oh, look, Jeffrey got $500,000. Huh. Crazy how that works. And then another 125. And it goes on and on and on. And we can see how he uses Southern Trust Company instead of Jeffrey Epstein. Very interesting how he uses that. Very interesting. And we've got investors' rights. We've got all the documents, and they're signed. So let's go back one more time to what Howard said, because I think it's important after seeing these documents that we keep in mind what Howard testified to. Let's keep in mind what he said under oath, okay? And by the way, we're not even halfway through. We're going to have to split it into another episode. There are so many contacts and interactions with these two, which is shocking. It really is shocking when you consider what Howard Lutnick said under oath to the committee. Because we've been going 2 hours here. At least an hour has been showing you these files. Now, these are half of the ones I gathered just to present to you. But the ones I'm not presenting to you are all the filler ones. Because I shit you not, almost 200 documents, if you include his wife, arranging, cavorting with both business, socially, philanthropy, and just to fuck around and have drinks and eat a lot of fucking lunch. So much goddamn lunch. So what was it he said?
would never have any contact with him again. Did you in fact make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's not an indication that you yourself engaged in any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein. It's the fact that you believe that you misled the country and the Congress based on your earlier statements, suggesting that you cut off all contact when in fact you had not. When you visited the private island, did you see anything inappropriate during that visit?
the only thing I saw with my wife and my children and the other couple and their children was staff who worked for Mr. Epstein on that island.
Oh, what was that? That's it? You didn't see him for lunch before that visit, and you didn't go sign shareholder paperwork with him after for a company that his shell company invested in so you guys could be board chairman together? That's weird. You forgot to mention that part, Howard.
You realize that, this visit took place after he'd been convicted, right? I mean, you made a very big point of saying that you sensed that this was a bad person in 2005. And then, of course, in 2008, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution of a minor. And yet you went and had this trip and other interactions. Did you have a dinner in Epstein's New York City home in 2011?
No.
So the information that suggests that there was a dinner with Woody Allen and Woody Allen's spouse at the Epstein residence, there's nothing to that. Is that right?
I actually don't know what you're referring to. There was, look, I looked through the millions of documents for my name, just like everybody else. And what I found was there was a document that says that I had a meeting with him on in May, I think, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Not dinner.
There were several documents that said that, and they were all for different dates, and some of them said drinks.
Or otherwise for an hour at 5 o'clock.
All right. There's also a reference to the fact that Epstein had expressed an interest in meeting your nanny. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein ever met with your nanny?
No, I saw that. I had no idea what that was about. It had nothing to do with me.
No
as far as
interaction
I
at
know.
all with him on that.
No, as far as I know, no.
Would you, Mr. Secretary, be willing to ensure that the file is complete to share with this committee and the Congress your own records?
By the way, sorry, I was muted the whole time. The lady's face in the back is hilarious. When she hears about the nanny. Ooh, I agree, ma'am. I agree completely. All right. So with what he said in mind, let me pull up the last bit of our documents we're going to look at today. But with what he said in mind, keep an open mind. He barely fucking knew the guy, okay? Don't be judgmental. Just because he took his children and his wife and his nannies to a pedophile island and then told us that nothing in there is anything to fucking worry about. And just because he missed some really big shit, like having a company with him that he was a co-board member on because they put so much money into it, that they got to make real big boy, big shit no fear run with the big dogs decisions about it. Just ignore all that. Okay? So there's a dinner for Lutnick. Actually, let me share this tab instead. Before we get to that, remember that company, Adfin Solutions? So let's fast forward to 2016. Because remember, he said there were 6 years we didn't hear from each other, see each other. Nope. Every single year, there is contact between these two. But I'm skipping to this one. Because on Friday, the board of Adfin voted to accept an offer from its largest shareholder, Cantor Venture, to fund $1,750,000 alongside its founder, Jonathan Leitzerdorf. Cantor has been funding the company for the past 2 years on a bridge loan basis. So he's talking about diluting the shares and a bunch of finance shit. And that's David, who signed up with this deal together to do this bridge loan with these dudes. And see right here, conversion of approximately $7.3 million in outstanding debt from Cantor, Julsera, David Mitchell, and Southern Trust, which is Jeffrey. And remember, Howard is a part of this, and they're explaining how they're going to dilute these shares, what this means for these other companies they've invested in. It goes on and on. And while we don't have time to read all 27 pages, this is a very interesting document because it kind of explains how shit's about to go. Howard Lutnick, right here, backed by leaders, Cantor Fitzgerald, one of the world's leading financial services firms, with David Mitchell. Remember Thomson Reuters? You know them. All the media shit. Yep, that's Tom. That's Tom Glosher. And notice Jeffrey's not in there. But it's weird because his name's not in here really at all. Because he goes by Southern Trust. At the suggestion of Mr. Lutnick. So yeah, I think they did business together. And he failed to mention it to the committee. He also failed to mention the incredible donation in honor of Howard Lutnick from David Ratner to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, many thanks for your incredible donation in honor of Howard Lutnick. Would you like to take an ad and offer your own words of congratulation in our commemorative journal? Are you able to join us at the event itself, December 11th? Would you like us to take a table, inclusive of your generosity? $50,000 from me. Hope PR is okay. $50,000 from Jeffrey Epstein to Howard Lutnick. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's to David Radner, not Howard. Oh, don't worry about that. Because Howard Lutnick absolutely was aware. There are multiple emails in which they discuss how to get this check to him. How do we get this check to him? So it's not from Jeffrey. It's for the UJA Wall Street dinner honoring Howard Lutnick, November 9th, 2017, 2 years before he, quote, killed himself, 1 year after Trump's first presidential reign. And Howard Lutnick is accepting $50,000 in donations. And Richard Kahn, who is, Kahn, what a great last name for that guy, Jeffrey's personal financier, his personal, what do you call it? I'm blanking on words. The guy who does the math and the money. His checkbook guy. He's making sure that we figure out, do we deliver the check to UJA or someone else, such as Paulson or Lutnick? Please advise. What does Jeffrey do? He says, give it to Paulson. Because Lutnick can't be attached to his bestie and neighbor. Very interesting. And exactly, Laura, because they all know Jeffrey is a piece of shit and they think we won't notice. But here we are noticing. And 3 years before that, We also have this lovely interaction. Remember how they were talking about the nanny? From Jeffrey to Richard Kahn, his accountant. That's what he is. Subject, Blank's resume. Attached is the resume of Lutnick's nanny. I'm trying to arrange a time via Peter for you to meet her. Peter was one of Lutnick's assistants. So it's interesting. Here, this is Lutnick's nanny's resume. Now, you know what else is interesting? There are emails asking Lutnick's assistants to get with Lutnick so that they can get the nanny's resume. So Lutnick is absolutely 100% aware that he gave her resume over to Jeffrey Epstein, which is gross. Don't feed your nannies to a pedophile. So $50,000 donated to Howard Lutnick directly from Jeffrey Epstein. Again, no business, no philanthropy, and no socializing. We'll look at the rest tomorrow because there's so much more. There's a shitload more. There's the Hillary dinners. There's the argument about here. Look, I'll just show you this. We'll end with this one, actually. This is one of my favorites because he's like, and we never spoke again. We didn't talk for years. And the nanny actually ended up getting, I don't even know if, I think this is the same nanny, got in a lawsuit with Lutnick. That tomorrow. But they had a whole thing. And apparently him and his wife used to send her very explicit text messages. Him and Allison did. And she was threatening to out them. And there was an NDA. So there's this NDA and the nanny's like, I'm going to out our text messages. And she does. And then Howard sues her. And there's that whole thing. So here, let me share this tab instead. And we'll end on this big gem, okay? So this is, hello, Howard. Let's just see who this is real quick. This is from Leslie to Howard. Leslie, Jeffrey's assistant. This is 2018. This is a year before he dies. Hello, Howard. I have passed your email on to Jeffrey. He has responded he was not aware. Thank you for letting us know. So Howard emailed Jeffrey in 2018. Well, that's crazy. A year before he died. Are you aware as to them building to block our park views? What should we do about it? Time is of the essence. What should we do about it? Jeffrey, they're going to fuck up our view of the park. What should we fucking do? Who do you know in the mafia? Who can we fucking shake down? They're going to fuck up our view of the park. Node pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. What can we do about it? Let's work together. You, the pedophile, and me, Howard Lutnick, to figure out how to keep our view of the fucking park. How will you see the children? How will you see the children playing in the park? God, these people are fucking sick. Anyway, I'm going to go. That was our show. I think that the best way to end it is on something that we all know. And I love you so much and have a good night. And this is my advice to you.
My father gets a job at the Palm Restaurant. My Uncle Junior works there, who was a Jehovah's Witness, believe it or not. He went from Catholic to Jehovah. So basically, my grandmother wanted us all to switch from Catholic to Jehovah. You know, meanwhile, we're from Harlem. My father's doing coke. You know, my mother thinks she's Aunt Margaret. She's teasing the hair with a bottle of vodka. You know, so dysfunctional, cross-addicted family, still cooking pasta on Sundays. And the meatballs, they wind up being burnt.